quite well.
So that's what Richard Sherman thinks they should do. The question is, what do they think they should do? Dan Graziano, Matt Miller, Joey Galloway. Graz, I'll start with you because I feel like there's a conventional wisdom out there that it is a foregone conclusion the 49ers are going to take Mac Jones. What are you hearing and thinking?
I'm hearing similar things. That does seem to be the widely popular opinion at this point, that the 49ers are set on Mac Jones and will take him. But after they made the deal to move up to number 3, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch said that they would be attending a future workout of Justin Fields. And I believe if Trey Lance does something else here in the next couple weeks, they will take a look at that as well. So even if they're leaning toward or planning to take Mac Jones at this point, you mentioned there's 20 more days for them to continue to discuss this and potentially change their minds. So I don't think we can all the way rule out the possibility that it would be one of those other 2 guys at number 3, even if we consider Mac Jones the favorite at this point.
And so, Joey, let me come to you, as I like to consider you the mayor of Columbus, Ohio. And so you've obviously seen every snap that Justin Fields has taken there. If Kyle Shanahan were to call you and say, how would Justin Fields work in the offense I want to run? How good would he be for me over the next 10 years? What would you tell him?
I think the question would be, which kind of offense do you want to run? We've seen Kyle Shanahan in Washington take RG3 in an offense where it was run heavy for a quarterback, and RG3 got banged up in that season, was never the same after that. So I don't know that Kyle Shanahan would want to go down the path of, we want a run-heavy quarterback. I don't think Justin Fields needs to be that. But as everyone talks about his athleticism and what he can do with his feet, boy, that is a shaky ground for Kyle Shanahan to go back down because of the experiment with RG3. Now, that doesn't mean that Justin Fields can't be successful for Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle Shanahan is a terrific coach and Justin Fields is a terrific quarterback that I believe can do anything that they ask him to do. But it would be interesting to see him go that route if you're thinking of Justin Fields as an athletic quarterback that can run the ball and make plays with his feet.
Well, that's a really interesting thought, and it's something no one has brought up here for the last few weeks, so I'm glad that you did. And so, Matt, I'll come to you on that. The evaluation of Justin Fields, we can all see. We all saw him run the 40 and 4.44. We all understand all of the measurables. But tell everybody about the passing. He also has enormous passing numbers over his 2 seasons in college. So if you're looking for a passer of the football, he gives you that too.
Oh, Greeny, absolutely. And, in this year, especially, there weren't a lot of turnovers until toward the end of the year when we saw some struggles against Northwestern and Indiana. But he is an accomplished thrower. As you said, I actually think he has the strongest arm of any quarterback in this class. Zach Wilson is more prolific throwing the ball down the field, those YOLO throws we like to talk about. But Justin Fields is an accomplished passer. He can dial up velocity. I call him a drive ball thrower, someone who's going to use his whole body to really dial up those throws. But we saw the pro day. We saw what he did for 2 years in the Big Ten, where he, again, did not lose a game and barely turned the ball over in 2019. So I get what Joey's saying, and that's a great point about this is someone who was burned by RG3. This is also a coach in Kyle Shanahan who was burned by Patrick Mahomes, who was burned by Josh Allen, who gets burned by Russell Wilson. So I think at some point you have to look for a quarterback that's different than every iteration of a quarterback you've ever had before. Like, it's time to move past Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan and look for where the NFL is going at this position.
And not only that, but Joey, just quickly here, and I like sometimes to make the distinction between excuses and reasons. If at times this year Justin Fields didn't look like he was as perfect as you'd want him to be, it's not an excuse, it is a reason to say that team was ravaged by COVID issues as the season went on. Yes, they had problems, they had guys in and out of practice, they had guys in and out of games, they kept having games rescheduled. It's one thing to say you have to rise above that. It's another thing to be reasonable and say those were very, very difficult conditions he was trying to navigate.
Yeah, I think when you look at any of these quarterbacks, including Justin Fields, you see some great plays, some great things that they can do, some great talent. But you have to look at him as a coach and say, can I get that out of this quarterback in my system? Kyle Shanahan is outstanding, and I believe he can. If he goes with Justin Fields, he'll be successful.
Okay, we will see. So, again, I continue to believe, and I get a sense Graziano agrees with me, that this is not a done deal yet. This decision has not been made, and we will see what winds up happening in San Francisco as we get closer. Again, the pro day is next week. Much more football as we go. But did you see how this ended yesterday? It had all of Twitter abuzz with the finish yesterday of the Mets home opener at Citi Field against the Marlins. It starts in the bottom of the ninth. The Mets are down 2-1. Not anymore. Jeff McNeil. Oh, flip that bat on your birthday, Jeff. celebrating his first hit and first home run of the season simultaneously. That ties the game at 2. But then, this is when the controversy comes. The bases are loaded. There's one out. Michael Conforto is at the plate. And that's the end of the game. That's right. That's the end of the game. He's hit on the elbow by that pitch from Anthony Bass. Home plate umpire Ron Culpa calls it a hit by pitch. The run scores. Keith Hernandez can't believe it.
Oh, you can't do that.
They have totally got
They got to bring it back.
Totally have a case.
They're going to. It's absolute.
The bottom line is the elbow was in the strike zone. The strike should have been called a strike. Instead, the game is over and the Mets wind up the winners. Let's talk about it after it was done.
From my point of view, it was a slider. Felt like it was coming back to me, and I just, I turned. There may have been a little lift of my elbow, just out of habit, out of reaction.
It's just frustrating, I think, more than anything, that the ball's a strike. And he went to call it a strike. And it seems like if it's in the strike zone and you get hit, it should be a strike. And you really can't say he got hit by a pitch. He knows it was a strike.
Actually, Mattingly is right. He does know it was a strike. The umpire, Ron Culpa, said after the game, the guy was hit by a pitch in the strike zone. I should have called him out. The problem, as I bring Buster Olney into the conversation here, is that when they went to look at it in the replay review, they're not allowed to change that part of the call. Here's the rule. Calls involving whether a pitched ball may have hit a player, a piece of clothing, or his bat, whether the ball was in the strike zone when it touched the batter, and whether the batter made any attempt to avoid being touched by the ball is not reviewable. Again, the point here, Buster, is they're allowed to review whether or not it hit him. They're not allowed to review whether or not he was in the strike zone. And so as a consequence, the initial call stands, even though we can all see, including the umpire, that it was the wrong call. What did you hear from people around the sport as the world went crazy yesterday?
That they wish there was some mechanism where common sense could take effect. And look, maybe there is. In the rule book, there's this great rule, 801C, which effectively allows umpires to step in and deal with situations that are unprecedented. And the unprecedented part of this is Ron Culpa, as Don Mattingly said, was moving to call this a strike. He indicated it was a strike. Then he indicated that he was hit by the pitch. At that point, you wish there was some way in the replay center that they could say, you know what, we're going to take another look at this and we're going to make sure that we're going to get the call right, because that's the point of replay. And by the way, I reached out to players with other teams last night and asked about what Michael Conforto did. That wasn't viewed by other players as being that big of a deal. It was just a reflex. At worst, he might have the ball sort of doinked against his butt from the Marlins.
Let's make sure that we're clear on what it is we're talking about here. Conforto is the batter. You're saying that the reaction is to him sort of sticking his elbow out there, sort of making sure that he got hit, which, as far as I'm aware, has been part of the game for 150 years, yes?
That's exactly right. Now, in this case, let's face it, Michael Conforto was beaten by the pitch, and he just has that reflex, that instinct. His elbow stuck out a little bit. He was almost embarrassed in talking about this play afterward. Talked to folks who were watching with other teams who were watching this as it happened. They say it wasn't really that big of a deal. The Marlins might be annoyed. You might see a little blowback, but nothing serious.
All right, Robert Stanbailey, only the third. While I have you here with this brand new professorial look of yours, which, by the way, I love, give us some early season. We're a week and a half into this thing. Give us a few early season takeaways the fans should be thinking about, Buster. Go.
The National League East is an absolute beast of a division. Look, this is the one division in baseball. All 5 teams are trying to win. The Marlins are trying to win. The Braves have won the division 3 straight years. How about Hembo's Phillies? They have upgraded their bullpen. They're a really dangerous team. The Mets are trying to win. The Nationals are trying to win. This division is going to be the best and have the best action all year. The baseball in 2021 is a mush ball. Look, Major League Baseball didn't hide the fact that they were changing the composition of the baseball coming this year, and I've seen games where it looked pretty clear that the ball's not traveling as far. I actually asked Hembo to look into this. Fly balls traveling 15 feet shorter than in previous years. I love this. I love the fact that we're getting away from 3 true outcomes and maybe into a better brand of baseball. And how cool is it that the best player in baseball might be going back to October? This is the best team that Mike Trout has played with the Angels since he began his professional career. They're off to a great start. It's a deeper team. Shohei Ohtani has looked great in the first week, and Mike Trout is absolutely thriving. So far this year, hitting .417 with an .875 slugging percentage, He's got protection in front of him. He's got protection behind him with Anthony Rendon. It'll be fun to see the Angels in a pennant chase all year.
He is Robert Stanberry only the third. Buster, outstanding to see you. Thanks for getting up. We'll check in. Have a great weekend. All right, we're just getting rolling here. As we go, Tom Brady says he has a sickness and the only cure is more football. You need